Ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the next show. We've got our famous guests back, Sam Baxter and Chad Buey. Welcome to the Security in 45 show. Today, Andres, for season two, we've been doing these demo days, which have been pretty cool. Topic that we're doing is segmentation. Yesterday, we talked about segmentation. Andres, we learned a lot from Chad and Sam, and I'm pretty excited about seeing some segmentation in a live dashboard.
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of really nice feedback about what we're doing with the demos. So super happy to have them again and continue having them for the rest of the season. Um, the the segmentation demo that we're gonna have today is gonna be between Chad and Sam, and it's gonna be between, I guess, Cisco Ice and Duo. But I won't steal any of the thunder from you guys and give it back to you if you wanna get started.
Yeah,
Right.
sure. So I want to say thank you for having us back on the second day. Looking forward to the demo. We'll keep things short and sweet, but also give you an understanding of how the identity services engine can help you with setting up your segmentation policy and show you a little bit of what it's capable of doing. So with that
Awesome.
being said, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. And are we able to see this okay?
There we go. Looks good.
All
You
right,
see it?
perfect. So for starters, I want to explain what exactly is the Identity Services Engine. What is ICE? For those of you who are not familiar with the product, so ICE is a NAC solution, NAC being Network Access Control. It is also a AAA server, authentication, authorization, and accounting. It is a radius server. It is a TACAC server. It is all of the above. And what it does is provides visibility into what is connected. As Sam and I were mentioning yesterday, visibility is key, and understanding what is on your network will allow you to implement the proper segmentation. So when it comes to ICE, ICE provides that visibility by providing visibility into the who, what, when, where. So ICE ties directly into your switch ports, your wireless SSIDs, and can also tie into your VPN access. So we're able to provide visibility into who the user is, whether it's a domain user, a guest user. We can provide visibility into what that user is connected on. So provide visibility into if that user is on a Windows 11 or an Apple workstation, if that guest user is coming in on an Apple iPad or an iPhone or Android device, when that device was on the network. So when it came on, when it left, how it came on. So wired, wireless, VPN. Where it's connected. ICE provides all of that so that you're able to apply the right access control policies around it. And one of the beauties of having a product like ICE in place is once we have this information, we can take it and share it out to the rest of your network. We can share it out to Catalyst Center. We can share it out to your firewalls, to your NDR solution. And ICE has a very large peer ecosystem. So outside of TACAX and Radius, ICE integrates with a ton of other Cisco and non-Cisco solutions to share that identity context. But what I want to show you today is how ICE can help simplify segmentation. So I'm going to jump over to the ICE dashboard. Here is the ICE 33 dashboard. When you log in, you get greeted with this page in which you can see the total number of endpoints ICE has seen, the total number of active endpoints, how many guests are on your network, how many personal devices enrolled in our BYOD service, how many of those devices on the network have gone through compliance checks. But when it comes to implementing policy, ICE has these policy sets, which can be broken down in whatever makes the most sense for your environment. You can have a policy set for VPN access, a policy set for wired and wireless. You can set this up by location. I've yet to see a nice deployment that looks identical to another. So this is your canvas, and you can create your network access policy in whatever makes the most sense. But inside each one of these policy sets, we have, for one, an authentication policy. And this is where the authentication takes place. This is where we do the 802.1x authentication. We can take a certificate, validate that against AD. We can take a user credentials, endpoint certificates, and check that against AD. So this is where we're able to authenticate and then also pull in things like group membership if we are doing AD authentications. Because once we handle the authentication piece, the authorization policy is evaluated. And this is where you can get super granular when it comes to segmentation and just network access in general. So you can come in here, set up your policies. Here we have a policy around printers. We have a policy around IoT cameras, access points. We have our guest flows set up here. And with each one of these rules, they have what we call an authorization profile that determines what type of access this device has. So just to kind of give you a glimpse of what all is possible with an authorization profile, this is where we can do segmentation using a downloadable ACL. This is an access control list that's configured on ICE and can be pushed out to switches. This is where we can call an access control list that may be configured on a switch. So you have your access control list configured on a catalyst switch, and whenever an endpoint gets on, matches on this rule, we can have that access control list applied to its session. But there's a lot we can do here. We can do that dynamic VLAN assignment. This is, I would say, the traditional way of doing dynamic segmentation. Looking to see, okay, this is a printer. Let's make sure it gets put on a printer VLAN. This is where you would define that VLAN. This is also where we allow access to those voice devices. So I know a lot of people are moving towards soft phones, but there are still those companies that have IP phones. Maybe you have a PC daisy chain behind it. This is a way that we can be sure that the IP phone gets on a voice domain, and then the PC behind it will be on a totally separate session and get put on the data domain. Again, easy way to implement segmentation. But just wanted to show you, this is where we define what that segmentation looks like for that group of users or endpoints. So with that being said, I also want to point out these rules are using the profiling, so the classifying of devices. So one thing I wanted to point out is, again, this goes into that visibility and to show you what is on your network. And that's where the ICE profiling policies come into play. And with ICE, Cisco provides you a ton of profiling policies, and we keep this updated. So if there are any new Mac OUIs that we learn of, we will be sure that your ICE deployment is made aware of those. So we have a number of profiling policies, and just to kind of show you how granular we can get, I like to show the HP device profiling policy. If we have a printer in our environment, when that printer authenticates, ICE is made aware of its OUI through its MAC address. So we're able to quickly determine that it is an HP device. Now, upon learning that, we take in several other attributes. We have seven profiler probes that we use to gather information about a connected endpoint. And once we start learning those attributes about an endpoint, we can see that that printer is a printer. So it will get the HP printer profiling policy. And then we can profile these printers all the way down to its exact make and model. So we can see that this printer is a LaserJet 2600. Or we can see that that IP or that Apple device is an iPhone or an iPad. And then what we can do is build rules around this, as you can see here. So we can use the logical printers profile, which takes into account multiple makes and models of printers, and creates that common policy for printers. So no matter what that printer is, we can make sure that it will always get the printer access it needs, which is essentially just implement zero trust as well, least privilege access based on what that device is classified as. Yes, Mike.
I'm thinking for hospitals and places with like lots of sensors on the walls and stuff, where maybe there's no user logging into the device. This profiling seems of great benefit in terms of segmentation there.
For sure, for sure. Profiling is used to automate access for those type of IoT devices. I've worked with different hospitals, healthcare companies that also have handheld devices that need special access. And one of the great things about ICE profiling is I mentioned that Cisco provides you with these Cisco provided profiling policies, but you have the ability to create your own. So you can create your own profiling policy for those specific handheld devices so that whenever we see those on the network, they get the same level of access no matter where they're connected. Great question. But yes, that is how we take those profiling attributes and bring those over and build policy around them. Now, I showed you in the authorization profile, we can do the dynamic VLAN assignment. We can assign access control lists to endpoint sessions. But one thing I did mention yesterday was group-based policy and TrustSec. So to make use of security group tags and security group ACLs. So in terms of classifying devices and assigning a HTTP tag to those endpoints, we have the security group section. So whenever we see these printers as printers and give them printer access, we can tag their printer traffic with the printer's HTTP. Same thing goes for these cameras. Once they're classified as cameras, we push down the radius result that gives them camera access. Again, whatever camera access looks like for your environment. And then at the same time, assign it the camera's HTTP. Now, this is that first step. Yeah, Mike.
I was curious, while you're on this screen here, I think a lot of customers that have ICE or maybe not using SGT yet, right from this screen though, is it safe to go ahead and assign an SGT here, even though the SGT is not actually used in the environment? That way, maybe later I could begin using them.
100%. This is a great starting place for group-based policy and TrustSec. A way to start grouping your endpoints together, just because this has no impact on your network for this part of it, if you haven't implemented TrustSec. So this is a great starting place. Again, easy way to classify those devices as they are accessing the network and pulling an IP address in your environment.
I love that,
Now,
because part of yesterday you guys were talking about having the safe way to do it and just kind of, create some policy but not have it take effect yet. I like that approach with the SGT right
yeah, for
here.
sure, for sure. Nice and easy and harmless at this stage. But once you're able to get in and start classifying these devices, then we can start looking into that TrustSec policy. Now, this is the matrix that lives in ICE. Again, if you're a Catalyst Center customer, if you're a Meraki customer, there's a way to have everything in sync. So everything you see here will show up in Catalyst Center. Everything you see here will be reflected into the Meraki dashboard. Now, on the Meraki side, we refer to this as adaptive policy, but it's the same concept in using security group tags and security group ACLs to segment the traffic. But here we make it super easy. As you can see in this matrix, we have the source tags and we have the destination tags. So you can define who can speak to what in terms of source and destination. So if you want to permit your cameras to reach out to your BYOD devices, you can set this up to permit that IP traffic. If we want to get more specific, then we can add in security group ACLs that will start to branch out into layer 4 enforcement. So this is that TrustSec policy, again, made simple and easy. And this is how we can expand out from micro segmentation to macro segmentation. We can tie in the cloud environments, give them security group tags, configure your policy and push these up to maybe an FTD that sits in the public cloud, an FTD device that sits in your private data center. And then we can also do enforcement at the switch level too. So from your access layer switches to your APs, they are all capable of enforcing this group-based policy. So with that being said, if you want to know more about ICE, please let your account team know, because 15 minutes is quite a bit to fit, a little bit of time to fit everything that ICE has to offer in. But I would love to show you guys what else ICE has to offer in a longer call. So
Along those lines, Chad, is if you're new to ICE, what about like trialing ICE, and what are the details on that?
Yeah, so each ICE download, so in most cases when I'm running POVs, proof of values, or trials with ICE, they are run on, we install the ICE ISO or the OVA in a virtual environment. And when you download that ISO or that OVA, it actually comes with a 90-day eval license.
Mm.
That 90-day eval license unlocks every feature from Premier, Advantage, and Essentials licensing for up to 100 endpoints. And what you will have is an engineer like myself and the rest of this group to walk you through that configuration. So help you get ICE off the ground and show you what it looks like to authenticate those users and machines that are present in your environment.
That's awesome. So basically, if I just have a Cisco.com account, I can go to software.cisco.com, download the ICE image, and be off and running.
Exactly.
90 days.
Exactly. And
That's cool.
also, this demo environment in dcloud is available if you have a Cisco account. So even if you wanted to just poke around and get familiar with the ICE dashboard, if you have a Cisco account, you can log into the dcloud environment and get visibility into everything that I'm showing right here.
That's really cool. That's awesome. Very nice.
I wanted to ask you, Chad, do you know if there's because I do have some customers that they like to do things themselves. Is there anything, any resource that you recommend for them to go look? Like we already know how to download it, we already know how to get it started. What about the next steps, if any?
Yeah. So one thing that in my tech days I wish was available, but we added it after I left tech was this help icon and the interactive help features. So this right here is super helpful when it comes to just understanding the product as a whole. Again, live demo, it's not bringing it up, but there is a little side window that pops up that walks you through all different types of features. Has links to documentation that will help you configure guest environments. Has documentation around profiling. It also has links to YouTube videos. So and as you can see here, community page links, documentation, YouTube channel. We provide you everything you need to get ICE off the ground in the dashboard. So that is available. And I'm a YouTube junkie, so I get down those rabbit holes down YouTube. So we have quite a bit of YouTube videos as it relates to ICE and many different features that are available in just a click in the dashboard.
That's awesome.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Nice way to know, like you said, I really like the profiling. Just knowing what is on the network puts people leaps and bounds ahead of where they are. Like, are there
For sure.
people plugging in like their home Wi-Fi routers into the wall in our corporate environment, or plugging in a DHCP server, something like that? So
Yeah, some organizations have strict policies around mobile devices and things like that. So that's a easy way to segment things off. And if we see a mobile device present, let's go ahead and deny access altogether, or just give it internet only access. So again, that makes use of profiling and having that dynamic access.
man, and I know there's so much more ICE can do, but I appreciate seeing some of that segmentation unique use case. So thanks, Chad. I appreciate that.
No problem.
Andres, what do we got next?
I guess next we have Duo. And Sean, I'll kick it to you. So let's take a look at some Duo.
Sean, you said Sean.
Oh my God, I'm
Sean
sorry.
today. That's cool.
You need the holiday break coming up.
Is the eggnog that is killing me.
Too early. Yeah, so that was a great presentation, Chad. I know yesterday we talked about some of the enforcement points for segmentation, and attaching to the network is very powerful. But today I'm just going to walk through a pretty easy use case that you can use to protect the applications at the actual authentication layer and choose who's allowed to actually authenticate to the app. So this is useful in cases that you don't get around to the network segmentation. So maybe the application is still accessible on the network, so users can still hit the app, but you still want to have that stopgap. So with Duo, I'll show you an easy way we can limit access based on identity. So go ahead and share my screen. Just let me know if you guys can see. Browser?
Looks good.
Cool. Yeah, so the main thing, so Duo is Cisco's identity access management platform. We have different ways to authenticate, users with Duo, providing the multi-factor authentication. So you can utilize Duo in combination with things like Radius. We have a SDK where you can plug Duo directly into that application. And then, of course, we can do single sign-on with things like SAML, OIDC. So this is the Duo dashboard. The feature I wanted to talk about is our trusted endpoints. So this feature allows you to limit who has access to resources based on a status that you're pulling from a mobile device manager. We have multiple different types of integrations. So maybe you want to check that that device is domain joined. You might want to create a manual integration where you're providing the machine GUIDs, or the machine identifiers for Mac or Windows devices. And then we can verify that that is a device that you recognize, and then we could block access if it isn't. So it's a very straightforward feature, very easy to implement. And then another thing we talked about yesterday was adding these things, these types of protections in ways that we're not going to limit access. So we can deploy this in monitoring mode as well. So this is just a high level, just showing you, what the use case is. We see this a lot with like BYOD devices as well. So maybe you're looking for ways to segment application access to contractors or people that you're bringing onto your network, but you can't really control the software that's on their endpoint. You can't control where they're connecting from, things like that.
That's such a common use case too. Yeah. So basically, was this just segmentation based on the device that you're on? Is it a corporate issued device?
Yep. Yeah. So I'll show you. Let me just jump into the dashboard. So yeah, it can be a corporate device. It's really just a device that you are already aware of, right? So within Duo, we have our trusted endpoints configuration here. And for the different types of integrations, this is how we're going to say this device is trusted.
Mhm.
So we talked about the Active Directory, making sure it's domain joint, right? We can pull the domain security identifier. We can plug that into Duo. We can check at the time of authentication that that device is domain joint. If you have some type of management system that you want to plug in and integrate with Duo, you can utilize that. And then at the time of authentication, we'll check to verify that that device is included in that system. And we'll quickly give a yes or no, right? And then allow access or block access. And then the other type of enrollment or integrations we have are based on manual. So here you can upload like a list of CSV, a CSV list of machine identifiers, and use those to say this device is trusted or not.
Does that last one work like an allow or block list type of deal?
Yeah, so it's gonna be allow or block, right? So the first thing you would do is like you would come in here, you would create your management integration, you would pull in the devices that you that are trusted or not. So you will become aware of, what devices. Duo will become aware of what devices are trusted based on the integration you have, and then it's going to be applied on a specific application, right? So in here, I've created like a sample Microsoft 365 application, right? So the way it works on the actual application is we have like it's gonna the policy stack flows and evaluates against the group policy first, and then it trickles down to application policy, and then we have a global policy, which is like our check all. But for this type of integration, you can apply it to the actual application, or you can apply it to a group of users, right? So you can say only these users can access this app. You can block on the application the global. You can say no one else can access it, but you can create a policy here And all you have to do in the policy is say, hey, like, we require all endpoints to be trusted to access this application. And if you have network segments that you want to bypass this, you can populate them here. But yeah, it's very easy to, roll this out and, say that a specific application or a specific group of users has to be on a trusted machine or something you're aware of before they can access your applications. So in this case, you would just create a policy. Duo has a lot of other components where you can start looking at device posture, device health, layer that on top of these checks. But for trusted endpoints, you would come in here, you would create your policy, you would attach it to the application and save the policy. Very straightforward. There's a quick demo here that I'll show you right for the Microsoft. In this case, user goes to log into the resource, username, password, right? Access not allowed, right? Very simple. It gives the end user a notice of, why they're blocked, right? So some other vendors make it very difficult for the end user to understand what's going on with their access, but Duo does let that user know. And then all of this is contained within the logging as well within Duo. So you can really understand who's trying to access your applications. So adding to that visibility component. And then in terms of when you're actually rolling this out, you can just apply it to specific groups only. So you can start understanding, what type of devices, what users are even attempting to access it. And that further allows you to make, more granular policies that aren't going to impact users that, it shouldn't impact.
It
Right?
doesn't have to be to only one, to the whole company in one shot.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think if I come here and we'll see if I can just do like a manual here, right? So you can see we could come in here. We have a PowerShell script to retrieve the device IDs from endpoints, but you can create a manual upload here. And then you would come in here, you can turn this on and test it with a specific group, right? So with Duo, we do have like a way to pull in users and devices and groups from Active Directory. We can do some skim provisioning with other sources, other IDPs, but so we can sync in these groups. We can apply it to this specific policy. We can attach it to an application, and only those users in that group would be required to do this trusted endpoints, or you could bypass it for this group and still get that visibility. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you today. I know there are many ways in Cisco to to do segmentation. I think trusted endpoints is an easy way and like a good catch-all. If you're not fully segmented, if you're not that far along in that journey, this is going to be an easy way for you to get started with segmentation. Look at some high value applications and start limiting access based on devices that you know. And that's going to be a big part of that identity segmentation story from Cisco.
It's a safe way too. Like same thing with ICE. You just mentioned you can run all this in kind of visibility mode and kind of see just what's happening on the network before we enforce it.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that you were talking about giving the user some notification that's actually helpful in terms of why they're being blocked. I saw some statistic about like how much time Cisco saves by using Cisco Duo for that same purpose, to just get rid of like the help desk tickets. I can't get onto the network, but it was pretty amazing. It was something like, it was an astronomical amount of tickets and hours saved just from people trying to figure out why they can't get on the network.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's just, I mean, it's something that helps out for the IT staff as well. So, users calling in and saying, I can't get access, and they have some code that they don't even know how to decipher, right? Like, how do they pass that information on to the IT staff? So it's just going to take more time to narrow down what's really going on. But in this case, a user is aware of, why they're logged out, right? And so they can reach out if they choose, and it'll be easy for the administrators to really understand the policy and go to that application and limit the access or allow the access.
But yeah, trusted endpoints, nice, easy starting point. I know there's so many other ways you can do segmentation within Duo, but yeah, that's a nice, simple one.
And
Just
and
that
I
trusted
think
endpoints.
and I think this was included into, I think, all the tiers now on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's even in
yeah.
the right the
Yep.
base.
Yeah, so it used to be like a premium, like in our highest level of licensing, but now it's included in all three tiers. So we understand the value and understand how important it is to limit access. So we've made that available in all of our license tiers.
That's pretty cool.
Same, you can do geolocation in this, right, as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, we can definitely do that.
I just think of that as like another simple when we talk about
Yeah,
the macro
it's
side of things. Just
yeah, it's like when you think of segmentation, everyone has their own idea of it, but I think what me and Chad try to break down is, what are the different enforcement points and areas you want to attack first and limit access on. So you can use multiple different tools, right? Duo might be, you might not think of Duo from a segmentation tool, right? But I think it goes back into the planning and the discovery and understanding what assets you have out there, understanding what tools you have, and then coming together with like a holistic segmentation strategy, right? We can use this tool to do this, and it's going to be a lower level of effort, right? Um, but yeah, to get back to your question, right? We can definitely do like geolocation. We can do like user location policies here also.
That's nice.
that's awesome. Now, I do see a lot of customers that have both ICE and Duo. You guys have any thoughts on that? And
Yeah, no, I was actually going to bring that up just because that was something we both didn't mention is how these can be used together. So these products have had an integration for years now when it comes to multi-factor authentication, 2FA. When users are coming in through the VPN, it's important to have multi-factor authentication tied into that remote access. So we do have an integration within Duo. There, and it has been improved as well over the last year or so. So now you can tie ICE in directly into Duo to trigger multi-factor authentication for VPN authentications. Prior to 3.3 patch one, I believe, it required the Duo authentication proxy, which was just another an additional step to get to where you want to do multi-factor authentication. But we've eliminated that. So we've made the process easier for administrators to tie in Duo for multi-factor authentication. Um, but outside of that, just being that IDP and doing SAML authentications as well. You can tie in SAML into the ICE portals, whether that's the admin portal, guest portal, to where you can redirect your users to authenticate using biometrics instead of typing in passwords and things like that. So yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that just because that was something that I was going to mention just because I don't know if you guys saw in my policy, there was an MFA policy and that comes from that improved integration between Duo and ICE where you underneath the authentication policy, we have your MFA policy to simplify the MFA configuration.
it's awesome.
That was a nice addition.
Yeah. Yes.
It's much
Cool.
easier as well with the API. So the direct API, you get more like granular logging as well. And you don't have to maintain that piece of software in your environment. So kind of reduces the attack surface also. Um, and then I've seen it a lot in use with like device administration. So that's something that a lot of organizations don't really think about. When you're granting that role-based access to your network devices, you want to ensure that you can provide some multi-factor authentication on top of the TACACs. I think that's a very strong use case. So I've been seeing that pick up in the field
I
as
have
well.
not seen that. Yeah, I've seen the TACAX, but I haven't seen the MFA trigger from it.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of organizations interested in that over the last year or two as well. So, and then again, that integration with ICE and Duo just makes it even
Yep.
easier to implement that.
What about standing Duo up for a trial, Sam? Any tips
Yeah.
there?
So yeah, anywhere on if you go to duo.com/trial, um, anywhere on duo.com, you'll see like a free trial button in the top right. So you can start your own, self-guided trial, and it'll last for 30 days. Um, but if you have additional use cases or you want to extend past 30 days, then you can just reach out to your account team or any of us on this call, and we can go in and extend it for you. It's very easy with like the SaaS products, right?
Now, I really like Duo how it has all the little icons you can click on. It'll show all the use cases of what it will look like when it's in use in your environment. Is that what you were using earlier when you showed that demo when you were logging into Office 365?
So we have the
And follow up
Duo.
question: is that open to anyone listening?
Yeah, it's open to everyone. So it's on demo.duo.com. And then we have all the use cases, all the types of applications, and different ways to use Duo. And then another useful link is the duo.com/docs, just so you can get, detailed information on how to integrate Duo with any third-party products, Cisco products. The documentation is very good. We have network diagrams, we have videos as well. So it makes it easier to, understand how to implement this in your environment.
Yeah, I like that. The documentation that they have is really good.
Hmm.
That is, yeah. That was awesome, Andres. Anything else?
No, super happy with all we saw today. I think from my end and from anybody that is listening and watching, this is gonna be something that you want to explore and play with. One thing that I tell anybody from the eye standpoint or Duo, just don't be afraid. Like test it out, make sure you download it, make sure you play with it, make sure you break it, configure it. That's what I do in my house. Before I was even with Cisco, just with eyes and yeah, get familiar with the product, and it's very easy. And if there are any questions, we can help as much as we can, of course.
Yeah, and two different ways to do segmentation. You can, like we said, we see environments with both of them all the time. But yeah, I like your point about don't be afraid. Go ahead and talk to someone on this call, or reach out to your Cisco rep and get some more information about this. Because like we said, for both of these, you can put them into that visibility mode. Just knowing what's in the network and what devices people are on, who's on the network is so powerful in itself. Um, and I know there's so much more to these products than we even touched on today. Chad and
Right.
Sam, I've seen your demos and how many features there are. Chad, did you have something you were going to add? It
Yeah,
looked
yeah,
like there.
that was one thing I want to piggyback on that. What you guys saw today was just a glimpse of what both of these products are capable of. These are both feature-rich solutions that will help provide protection around identity, provide visibility, and ultimately help you enforce your segmentation goals.
That's awesome.
Yep. And yeah, the only thing I'll add is we have multiple products at Cisco. So um, we only had a short amount of time to present. So we didn't want to introduce all of the segmentation products, but we mentioned this yesterday. Cisco has an end-to-end segmentation strategy. We have multiple products. We have the multi-cloud defense, right? We can segment the cloud environments. We have our secure workload where we can do the micro segmentation on the workload level. And then just some of the applications we've shown today. So, um, yeah, I would just welcome you to reach out to your account team, reach out to us if you want to explore those additional solutions as well.
Great. Thanks, Sam. Guys, that was outstanding. I learned something every time I get on a call with you guys. Well, it's holiday time, and we'll be kicking this off next year. So happy New Year, Merry Christmas, everybody, and we'll see you on the next call. Sam, Chad, thanks so much.
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, guys.
Happy
See you guys.
holidays.
Happy
Happy
holidays.
holidays.
Bye bye.